Great. So on that last slide, I told you a lot of stuff not to do. Let's see if we can figure out what to do instead. From interactions with students, the number one most challenging thing for these internet-based classes is keeping up with the class, forcing yourself to regularly study for the class. So here's what I'm suggesting you do. Block out time on your calendar right now, every week, where you're going to work on chemistry. And be smart about this. Chemistry is hard. Your brain gets saturated after a while. You don't want to block out like a 3-hour block to work on chemistry. You want to block out like an hour on 3 different days. You may discover that you need even more time than that. You may need to do an hour a day every day, whatever it's going to take. Block that out on your calendar right now and make sure that you do that each and every day. During that time, you're going to need to interact with the recorded videos. So follow along with the lecture, take notes on your PowerPoint slides, work out the example problems with me. Complete all of the formative assessments, all of the participation problem sets, all of the chapter quizzes, all of the homework problems. And I strongly recommend that you designate at least one time block every week, maybe even just 15 minutes, where you review what we have done so far in the class. If you add that review period every week, you're going to find that the exams are so much better. I also strongly encourage you to ask questions early and often. I love answering tiny questions. I love answering things like, I'm trying to balance equations, say as an example from Gen Chem 1, I'm trying to balance equations and I'm really getting stuck on the role of coefficients versus subscripts. When do I use the coefficients? When do I use the subscripts? If you talk to me about that right at the beginning of balancing equations, I've got you covered. We're going to be able to solidify that and have you in great shape for the test. If you aren't working on the class until the day that everything is due or the day before the test, and you reach out to me and you say, I am so lost, I don't understand anything out of chapter 14, I'm sorry, but there's not a whole lot I can do at that point. So be proactive, be working on the class regularly and reaching out to me early and often. And then there's one more really important piece here, which is as we're moving through the semester, if you're not getting the results that you want, revisit this plan. Let's make some changes and do whatever it takes so that you're going to be successful. Let's talk about some alternate resources if you are struggling with the material. You're going through the lectures and it's just not making sense. Well, the next place I would recommend you go is the textbook. The Southland Learning IGC is a solid textbook. I love the way that prerequisites are linked in there, so it's really easy to go back and see, oh, what did they mean by an electrolyte versus a non-electrolyte? It's just so easy to go back and do that sort of thing. And the way that the textbook is written is solid as well. So if the recorded lectures are not doing it for you, the next thing I would recommend is that you take a look at the textbook. If that's not enough, check out Slack. Slack will be doing Zoom sessions. I'm not sure this semester if they're doing face-to-face or not, but Slack is a great resource. Another spot to get some review material, but also just to get examples of how questions get asked in the multiple choice format, is the ACS General Chemistry Exam Study Guide. If you are in San Marcos, this is available for sale through the American Chemical Society student affiliates, and the chemistry stock room serves as a place where you can go and purchase one of those. You can also get it off of Amazon. There are lots of great internet resources like Khan Academy or just other video tutorials that might pop up as you're searching for something. that I do want to extend a caution about whatever online tutorials you might find. You're going to see really quickly this semester that problems in 1342 are very complicated. They can have multiple steps. When we work equilibrium problems involving acids and bases, I sometimes use the analogy of the third movie in the Lord of the Rings sequence. If you've seen that movie, you'll understand exactly what I'm about to say. When you're watching that third movie, I think it's called The Return of the King, you get about halfway through it and it feels like it's ending. Well, this movie is really long, like 3 hours. So you get to this hour and a half point and you're like, whoa, that was really short. This is ending. But then the movie doesn't end. It keeps going. As they wrap up all of these complicated interwoven storylines, each time they wrap up a storyline, it feels like the movie is ending. So there are like 3, 4 endings in this movie. Well, that's how some of these equilibrium problems feel. You're like, great, I solved for X. I'm done, right? Wrong. The problem didn't ask for X, it asked for pH. And what you found with X was actually hydroxide ion concentration. So you now have to take hydroxide ion concentration, convert it to hydrogen ion concentration, and then calculate pH, right? So it's that Lord of the Rings, you think you're done, but there's more steps. There's still more that you have to do. Okay, so with these complicated problems, there are a million different ways that you can solve them. I try my best to use a consistent methodology throughout all of the equilibrium problems that we do. Not all instructors do that. There are ways of solving certain applications of equilibrium that are easier for just this one application. And a lot of instructors like to use it. And they'll say, hey, well, when we're doing this kind of a problem, it's much easier to do it this way. But it's not general. You can't do that on all equilibrium problems. So my big caution here is I really don't care what approach you use to solving problems. If you use my approach, if you use a Khan Academy approach, or if you use something that Nick shows you in an SI session, all of these approaches are good if you understand step by step how the problem-solving approach works, and you know it all the way through, start to finish. The danger comes if you mix methods. And so you start off using a few steps from this one method, and then you switch over and you use a few steps from another method, and then you switch back to the first method. Somewhere along the way, you're going to miss something, or you're going to duplicate something, and you're going to end up with the wrong answer. So just be really careful when you go to outside resources that you really understand what that resource is trying to get you to do.